Yeah, so part 3, lighting and rendering. So this is going to be the last part in the 3-part series of an overview of a project in setting up the modeling, the texturing, and now the lighting and rendering. And we'll be going through some of the lighting techniques and some ideas behind lighting. And yeah, let's get started. The link to this project file is down in the description, so you can just download it and go through the files and settings and this whole setup that's here. And I'll hope hopefully it'll help you in improving your own understanding of the overall process of building a model, getting it textured, getting it light shaded, and producing an image that's of reasonable high quality that matches the idea that you have in your head on what you want to accomplish. So the purpose of lighting is really the key in 3D. The purpose of lighting is to reveal or hide the model. So if you think about illustration, you are constantly doing this. But in a 3D production, whether it's animation or just a still frame like this, you work on the model first, you work on the textures first, and then you get to the really the key part, the good part of 3D, which is the lighting. And this is where you'll really make the final image to pop and to give it the personality that you want. And yeah, let's just get into it and see how this scene is put together. So the important part in lighting and rendering is to understand where you are. Even if it's a 3D model, it's not a real place, but you are trying to convey something that is real. You're trying to make the viewer look at the image and have an feeling, have an effect that this is real, to the purpose of the image. So in this case, we have a revolver, and we would think, okay, where are we? So maybe this is an auction or some sort of situation where we're taking a photograph of this antique revolver, and we would think, okay, what kind of room it is? How would we set up this lighting situation in real world? And that's really important to think about where your camera is, where your lights are, and what's the environment like, and that will give you the desired effect of what it is. So we could have a situation where we have some kind of background. We could have a thematic background, so to speak. And if it's an old Western style revolver, we could have like some kind of well stylized version of Wild West, a saloon, maybe a barn, maybe we have hay, maybe we could have wooden planks, and this revolver would be lying down or something like that. Or we can just have this kind of a lighting setup, which is a showpiece setup. We have basically a black background, and we have a lighting that the purpose of the lighting is to show off the features and the shapes and the forms of the object. So our object is to make the object look pretty. and so we don't have a story, we don't have a setting, we don't have any kind of background setting here, but our sole purpose is to make this object look presentable, look nice, look beautiful, and that's the context that we'll be approaching this. So yeah, we can see here we have a little bit of environment, we have a couple of lights, so it's not a very complicated setup we have, and we can turn these features off and you can kind of like see what kind of effect we are getting. So we have a couple of planes, like this plane, which is going to reflect something below to get this nice reflective sheen here. Then we have this kind of a another plane here that's going to give us a more broader reflection here to kind of like bounce more light so that it's not so harsh. Without the environment here, it's a very harsh lighting. It's overly harsh. But if we add a little bit of planes here, then we can get a lot. It's still a very dramatic lighting. There's a lot of blacks and a lot of lights, a lot of contrast, but it's not overly harsh. And we also get a little bit of background here, so that once again it's not totally black, but we have a little bit of nice gradation going from up to bottom. Then if we look at the lightings, we have the same situation, and this is where we start. This is basically our key light. Actually, let's make sure that it is our key light. Yeah, it's our key light, and it's set up in a way that it creates an interesting gradation, and that it captures the interesting parts of the revolver. So, like here, there's a where you would load the bullets. It's an interesting feature. The cylinder, obviously, the long barrel, and the handle, and the trigger guard, and I think it's called a loader, the one that you basically smash the gunpowder bullets into the cylinder. So the key lighting, you could put it anywhere, and this really it's not. There are some helpful suggestions, like if you put the key lighting to the bottom, you have a little bit of let's say it's classically you would say that it's a demonic lighting, and if you put the key lighting to the top, you have kind of like a angelic lighting. So whether the light is coming from below or above. Or you can put the lighting to the sides, in which case you have a little bit of a lighting situation that reminds you of a sunrise or a sunset. So it's a bit of a sentimental, very emotional lighting setup to have the light coming from the side. And then we have fill lights, which in this case we have a warm tone fill light, which kind of like is the opposite of the key light. So we capture, because the key light it's so angled that we lose a lot of the detail we can't even see, but we want to add a fill light here that reveals some of the features that are lost, but does not compete with the key light, so that the key light still remains the most dominant direction. And it gets a little bit difficult when you add a lot of different kind of lights. So, but you should always kind of like have this one key light that is the clearly the dominant lighting, and then the rest will just support and add this kind of interesting features. Because if you have too many lights that are competing with each other, then you are going to confuse the viewer. And then we have another lighting which is going to add this kind of nice backlighting. You could think that maybe this light would be a window light coming from somewhere, and this warm tone could be a candle light, and the key light would be either a sun or something similar. And then we have basically a light that's completely a fill light. It hits the background to light the background and to give to add to fill out the two black areas, so that we don't have this kind of very contrasty. We want contrast, yes, but we don't want too much contrast. It starts to look very it's not very good. So yeah, that's pretty much the background layers, and sometimes in some cases I would use a light, or I would use a reflecting panel, so to speak. It doesn't matter which one you use. They both end up acting the same way if you use these kind of rectangular or area lights. So yeah, those are the key aspects of setting up the lighting condition here. I'm thinking this is a showpiece. We are in some room. There's a black cloth behind the piece, and there's some kind of either natural lighting scenario, or we put these lights there to emulate a natural lighting scenario. In any case, you want to, if you use lights that are kind of like not actual lights, not real lights, you still want to emulate some kind of environment. You want to keep thinking that, okay, what is this light? Where is it coming from? And that'll help a lot in the lighting process. So yeah, then after we set up this lighting situation, the next most important thing is our actual camera. And the camera, it is going to help that if you study photography or cinematography, and that's going to, you don't need to it's not a, you don't need to understand everything about it, but it does help you if you ask the question, what kind of camera would be used in taking this image in real life. So because there are specific lenses and lens settings that are used when taking this type of imagery, and the reason for them is they have specific reasons why you use these kind of lenses. So if you are looking at something like a portrait photography, or an environmental photography, or a close-up photography, you have different kind of settings and mainly different kind of lenses that you use to capture the image. So if you look at here, and we look at only modified things that I changed here, so we can look at some of the f-stop values, the focal length values, and there's a focus is yes, it is. Yeah, focus is set to the pistol, and we change the aperture as well. So yeah, probably the biggest one is going to be the focal length setting, which is essentially the millimeter on the lens. So if we're taking a close-up photography, something like 80 millimeter, in this case we have 85 millimeter, somewhere there, it's a pretty good lens for close-up photography. Something like 50 millimeter lens would be a medium shot, and then uh, you would have like a 20 millimeter lens, or even lower for a very wide shot. And but in this case, we want to bring the object very close, so we are going to use an 85 millimeter lens. And yeah, just make sure that if you're using focus, that the focus is on the object. And yeah, that's about it for the camera. There's not a whole lot of settings that you really need. The key is the focal length, and to understand what type of lenses to use. And when you're taking photographs in real life, and then just translating it when you are doing it in 3D, the process is very much the same, and it will help you a lot if you at least understand the basics of photography, and it'll help you even more if you go about and get yourself a camera and then do your own photography. And you'll learn a lot about taking photographs and how the lighting works, and how do photos look in when you're taking them in different kind of situations, different kind of lighting situations. And yeah, that's a good way to learn on cinematography and photography. And then when you want to render your own models, it'll be that much easier to do the rendering and do the camera setup here. Okay, so we can look at some of the post-processing settings, which really are just adding a little bit of the final changes, final small things. There's one thing I like to add for this kind of very high quality images, single images. This is not a game situation, and this is not we're simply just taking a single image, and this is the changing the bloom to convolution, and it will give you a little bit more authentic, a little bit better bloom. And in this case, where we have a lot of metal and a very very contrasty lighting setup, we will have more bloom, and it will look a lot. It will look better if you're using this convolution bloom. It's going to be a lot more expensive on the hardware, so for real-time game situations, you probably wouldn't want to use it. But for this kind of situation, it's a good thing, a small thing, but it'll help out to have those like here we have this very very small bloom coming from the golden or bronze, or is it bronze? I think it could be both, either or. But these final small things like that, small bloom hits here or small bloom hits there, and it will push there to get the final nice looking image. Yeah, I think that's about it for these all these settings. You can download the project and go through and see how they all add their small bits and pieces here and there. There are some changes to these lights, their values, their widths and heights, and stuff like that. But mostly, it's a you don't need to do a lot of changes here. If the model is if the model is well done and the texturing and the shading is appropriate, then the lighting part is really just it's the most important part, but it's also kind of like the cherry on the top. You just put it there, and you play around with it, because there's infinite variation here. You could light the same object from any kind of situation, any kind of angle you have, you want, or any kind of situation, any kind of scene. Maybe there's a background. It could be hanging from somewhere. It could be on the ground, on anything you want. It's really your imagination at this point. But if the base work, if the foundation is good here, we have a good model with good shading and good interesting materials, then the lighting is going to be enjoyable process, because it's just going here and just playing around with it, and seeing what works, and it's a very enjoyable thing, and you can just take your time and try a couple of different scenarios and see what's working, and what kind of lighting is giving you this the final image you want. Like in this case, I wanted it's an antique pistol. It's kind of like a showcase setting, and I wanted to have this very classical, very fine looking lighting setup, and so yeah, that's I think it hit the mark pretty well here, and it reflects the idea behind the whole scene and the whole model. And yeah, uh, that's about it for the overview of modeling something, getting it textured, getting it shaded, and then adding the lights and having a final image. And I hope it helped you in seeing how this project is put together, and I hope it helps you in directing you on how to light and how to get a final image on something that's in your head, because that's really what it's all about. You have something in your head, and you want to bring it forward from there, and how to go about it. And yeah, I think the most important thing is to really just do something, have an idea, have a direction in your head, and just start going towards the direction, and ask yourself: is Are we there yet? Is it what's missing? Why is it not looking good? And then doing the changes, and then not settling for something that is okay, like even simple things like this lighting. It Could we change it? Like, is there a better angle for this light, or is there a better angle for this light? Like, what happens if we push it right, or to the left, or maybe to the back, or so don't settle, and try different things. And if it's not working, then just say, okay, it's not working, and we'll try something else. And don't be afraid to throw away work either. So yeah, keep it loose, and when it works, then it works, and then you get a final nice image, and then you'll be happy about it, instead of just adding something and saying that, okay, there's something there. And yeah, then you won't be happy about it. But yeah, I hope that helps you, and I'll see what the next project is going to be, and yeah, we'll see you there hopefully. Bye.